Okay, sir.
A very good morning to you. Today I'll be giving you a different experience. Up till now we used to have different classes, and in these classes, the teacher used to sit in the chair, and he or she used to deliver the classes, the online classes. But I have developed the IQAC room with this classroom. I have installed this whiteboard because I'll be dealing with a very interesting paper called Structure and Function of Modern English, entitled Language and Linguistics. And there are a lot many things that I need to explain to you by using this blackboard. So that's why I will be using this whiteboard so that I can clarify the concepts, I can clarify the grammatical notions, and that's why I'll be giving you a very different experience today or from today onwards. Okay, coming back to the point of consideration. In the last couple of classes, we had nice discussion about various things about language. I remember I did engage 5 classes till now. This happens to be my 6th class. And in the last 5 classes, whatever we have seen, I would like to take a review so that it would refresh you, because after a long time, we are meeting on this platform because you were attending different classes of different papers, the papers of poetry, drama, novel. And I thought that I should be taking a gap of around 6-7 days so that I can let you some time to have the understanding about the various papers, that is criticism, English poetry, English novel, English drama, and coming back to this paper number 11, that is language and linguistics. I already told you that this is going to be a quite interesting paper. You're going to learn a lot many things, new things about language, new things about linguistics. And in this context, I already given you the syllabus, what are the concepts that we are going to deal with in the 5th semester, and what will be the concepts or modules that we'll be dealing with in the last semester, that is 6th semester, that I'll be explaining to you in bit later. So for the time being, let us continue with our work. There are going to be 4 modules for you. The first module will be language and communication. The second will be phonology. Third will be morphology. And the 4th will be words. So these are the 4 modules that will be there for you in this semester. Number 1, it is language and communication. Number 2, it is phonology. Number 3, it is morphology. And number 4, words. So these are the 4 modules on which the questions will be set, and you are expected to answer those questions. In one of the contexts, I already told you that doing this paper is like doing mathematics. If you really put your efforts, if you really put your interest, and pleasure, I'm quite sure that you will get 100% mark in this paper called language and linguistics. All of the papers, you will have different things, poetry, drama, novel, which you have been dealing with for the last couple of years. But when we think about this paper, we are going to learn lot many new things, not only from the examination point of view, but those things that we learn in this paper, in this semester and the next semester will definitely shape up your personality, will definitely shape up your fluency. It would definitely shape up your understanding. It would definitely shape up your all-round development of your personality. And that's why it is not only to be considered from the examination point of view, but as you complete your graduation, some of you might continue with post-graduation, and many of you would get into the market, the job market, and there, what is going to be of your help? It is your English language. The way you speak the language, the confidence level speaking the language, how do you make use of your body, how do you pronounce the words, all of these things reveal, all of these aspects reveal how much you are rich inside your heart, how much you are confident, how much you are smart, how much you are dynamic. And that's why this is the paper that is to be considered with love, with pleasure, and with interest. So in the first unit, that is language and communication, we have got 2 topics to consider. One that is the definitions and characteristics of language. And second, the differences between animal and human language, the animal communication and the human language. Correct? So these are the two subtopics that we are covering under module number 1, that is language and communication. The first sub point we have already covered in the last class. In the last class, I have referred to certain definitions given by grammarians, linguists, right from Aristotle till the 20th century, Edward Sapir and Ferdinand de Saussure. All of these thinkers, all of these philosophers of language, all of these grammarians, all of these linguists, they have defined the language in their own respective ways, which is what I explained to you in the last class. And today I will be focusing on the characteristics of language. So before we move on to understand the various characteristics of language, let us take a review what we have seen so far. I will be sharing the PowerPoint to you. That would definitely help you understand things in a very clear manner. The characteristics of language. This is the point that I'll be covering in this class. So, characteristics of language is something that I will be talking about in this class. Let us take a recap what we have seen so far. We learned that language is the gift. You know, people used to consider that language is a gift of God. But I explained to you in one of the contexts that with the evolution of human life, the evolution of language has taken place. So let us consider the things that we have covered so far. Let us take a recap. Let us review what we have seen till now. We understood that language is the most powerful and dominant system of communication. There are different systems of communication. Painting is there, music is there, different arts are there. Among all these different systems of communication, the most powerful, the most sophisticated, the most interesting, the most effective, the most meaningful system is the system of language. So language is considered the most powerful and dominant system of communication. It is a system of what? It is a system of conventional spoken or written symbols. In one of the contexts, I told you that language has two manifestations. One, speech, the other one, writing. What came first was the speech, followed by the writing. So we can say very firmly that speech came first, followed by writing. Writing is a system that has been developed quite late in the recent past. But speech has been there with us since the inception of human life. So what is language? A language is a system of conventional spoken or written symbols. When we speak, we produce sounds, we articulate sounds, we organize those sounds, we transmit those sounds. And when we write, what we do? We need the symbols, and these symbols are the alphabets. In English, we have 26 alphabets, and by taking the alphabets from those 26 alphabets in English, we form the words. We use the words to form the phrases. We use the phrases to form clauses. And finally, we form the sentences. So sentence is the largest stretch in the written language, whereas the morpheme, the smallest meaningful unit in the writing is called morpheme. So morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit in the written language, whereas the sentence is the largest stretch. When it comes to speech, the phoneme is the smallest meaningful unit in the speech, and the utterance, what we call in Marathi vaktavya, right? The moment you speak out, that becomes your utterance. So utterance Utterance is the largest stretch, and the smallest stretch is the phoneme, the individual sound. So, language is a system that is made up of conventional, spoken, and written symbols by means of which, means these are the means through which the human beings communicate. What do we communicate? We communicate with our fellow beings living in the society, living in the group, to share, to express our feelings, emotions, desires, approaches. So, language is the best way to express emotions, thoughts, feelings, and desires. Language is a sharing phenomenon. It is the language that has given the worth for the human beings in this life. It is the language that keeps him intact. It is the language that keeps him united. It is the language that makes him creative. It is the language that gives him ample opportunities to explore into the different worlds of artifacts and representation. So what we understand here, that language is the most powerful and dominant system of communication. It is a system that is made up of the spoken and the written symbols by which we all the human beings communicate with each other from one country to another country, from one culture to another culture, from one group to another group. And language is the best way to express our emotions, thoughts, feelings, desires. There are different ways of expression, like music, like dance, like painting. But these means have some kind of limitations. But language is the most effective, the most powerful, and the most, you can say, significant. So these are the definitions that we considered in the last couple of classes. Henry Sweet, an American phonetician, has defined language, that language is an expression of ideas. What is language? Language is an expression of ideas by means of speech sounds. Language is primarily speech. So, concerning with this, Henry Sweet, the American phonetician, says that language is the expression of ideas by means of speech sounds combined into words. Words are combined into sentences. And this combination, answering to that of ideas into thoughts. Where are the thoughts? The thoughts are there in the mind. And when I just want to express those thoughts to you, what I need the language through which I can transmit those thoughts into the ideas through these symbols, these sounds. Another linguist, American linguist, Blow and Traeger, they say that language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols. What is that? Language is a system of arbitrary. Arbitrary का मतलब क्या होता है? Swechha, without having any inherent relation, without having any inherent connection, without having any logic. So language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. Human being is society oriented. Human beings are group oriented. A dynamism is there, but this dynamism becomes meaningful because human beings are community oriented. So living in the communities, how do the human beings speak or express? Through the language. It is through which a group of people, the group of social group, they express. So according to these two gentlemen, a language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols by means of which a social group cooperates. Now coming to the 20th century, the most prominent name in the world of linguistics is Ferdinand de Saussure. He is the legend in the study of linguistics. He is the pioneer of structuralism, and he has contributed tremendously in the understanding of the language and the different aspects of language. So according to Ferdinand de Saussure, language is an arbitrary system. It is an arbitrary system of signs constituted of the signifier and the signified. Means a linguistic sign, according to Saussure, a linguistic sign comprises of the signifier and the signified. Consider this sign. And sign is made up of two, signifier and the signified. Means a linguistic sign comprises of two. One, it is signifier. The other one is a signified. What is the signifier? Signifier is the vehicle. It is a vehicle, and the signified is the object. Okay. Now, in different languages, the same thing is known by different signs. What is that we call the four-legged animal that barks? In Marathi, we say kutra. What is that? That barks, having the four leg that we find in a vicinity. In English, it's a dog. So in Germany, there is a different sign. In Sanskrit, there is a different sign. Name is different, but all these are the different labels given for the signified. So when I utter the word dog, when I write the word dog, D-O-G, these are the three alphabets that I take from 26 alphabet, the group of 26 alphabets, correct? So I will create a word dog, D-O-G. So dog is the signifier. And what is the signified? Is it the dog? No, it stands for the dog. Where is the dog? Dog exists in the outside world, which is the four-legged animal, which is the four-legged creature that barks, that is a pet. So signified is outside the language. It is something that exists beyond. And signifier is the vehicle by which we denote things from. So a linguistic sign is made up of signifier and the signified. Signifier is the vehicle, whereas the signified is the object. The word rose, R-O-S-E, rose. Is it the rose flower we see in reality? No. It stands for the flower, the red color flower that is often used by the youngsters to express their feeling of love to the dearest one. Is it the flower? No. It stands for the flower. So it is the signifier, and the signified is the mental construct. It is a concept. Where is it? It is in our mind. It is in our ideas. It relates. The word R-O-S-E, right? It helps us relate that which is in the outside world as a flower. There are different labels. These are all labels. So, according to Ferdinand de Saussure, language is an arbitrary system of signs constituted of the signifier and the signified. And this is one of the important aspects of language. That's why we have different languages in the world. The same object, the same thing is given different labels in different languages. In Kannada, it is different. For For dog, it is dog in English. No, in Marathi it is something else. In Hindi it is something else. In Latin it is something else. In Germany something else. French something else. So all these different languages, they have their own respective labels, signifier, arbitrary signifier. And what is the relationship? It is arbitrary. I mean, there is no logical relationship. R-O-S-E, rose, and the flower rose, do they have any kind of relation? They do not. The word dog and the four-legged animal dog, do they have any kind of relation? No, they do not. That's why it is called that language is an arbitrary system of signs constituted of the signifier and the signified. Aristotle, a famous philosopher from the 3rd century, he has also articulated the definition of language, and he says that speech is a representation of the experience of the mind. Imagine the time he was writing there in the 3rd century, and there in the 3rd century, in one of the contexts, Aristotle says that speech is a representation of what? Of the experience of the mind. Whatever that goes on in the mind, whatever that lingers in the mind, whatever that takes place in the mind in the form of ideas, that experience we represent, we allow, we unlock through a medium called speech, called language. Next, we have Edward Sapir. Edward Sapir says that language is purely human. Means to say in other words, that language is a human affair. It is only with the human beings, language is the best means of communication. All other living creatures, they do not have language. Do the dogs have language? No. Do the cats have language? No. Do the bees have language? No. Do the elephants have language? No. Do the tigers have language? No. However, all these living creatures, they have their different system of communication. So Edward Sapir says that language is purely human and it is non-instinctive. It is not something that we are born with. Though we are born with the capacity, though we are born with the ability of acquiring that language. So according to Edward Sapir, that language is purely human and non-instinctive method of communication, communicating ideas, emotions, desires by means of a system of voluntarily. Nobody has pressurized. We ourselves feel to express. It is voluntary, voluntarily. Aichik paddhatine, aichik drishtya. Nobody has forced. Nobody has given you some kind of compulsion. So according to Edward Sapir, the language is purely human. It is non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, thoughts, emotions, desires by means of a system of voluntarily produced sounds. So these are some of the celebrated definitions that we have covered in the last class. This is going to be a very important topic for you, because in the examination there will be some questions in which you'll be asked to write definitions of language, and these are the definitions that you'll be understanding, and you'll be representing those definitions in your answer book. And that's why I have shared these things with you as a kind of recap. So this is what we have covered so far. Now moving on to the next, that is characteristics of language. So this is another subtopic that we are going to cover in our first module, language and communication. That is characteristics of language. There are different characteristics of language, but basically there are 10 characteristics that I'll be sharing with you, one after the other. The first one, that language is arbitrary. Means there is no inherent connection between the nature of things or concepts the language deals with. Once again, concentrate on this concept that linguistic sign. There are two signs or two kinds of sign that we use. Two manifestations of language, that is speech and writing. So when we speak, what do? We produce sounds. We articulate sounds. We transmit sounds in the form of the sound signals. And when we write, we also need the signals. We also need the sign. They're called graphemes. When we speak, what we do? We produce sounds. Sounds, phonemes. We articulate phonemes. We arrange them, organize them. We transmit them. We articulate them. And we send them. We encode them. And the reader, the listener, decodes those things. So, linguistic sign is made up of two aspects, the signifier and the signified. And the relation between signifier and signified is arbitrary. What is a signifier? Signifier is a vehicle by which, through which the things or the concepts are represented. And what is the signified? Signified is the concept. Signified is the object. And there is no any relation between the signifier and the signified. Once again, concentrate on this word, R-O-S-E, rose. When I need to write it, I say R-O-S-E. Then I create a word, rose. So what I need? I need the signifier. So R-O-S-E, this cluster of letters, I call it signifier. When you read it, certain concepts come to your mind. Certain concepts come to your mind. What? Your mind conceives of one concept of the thorny flower, coming in different colors and sizes. But particularly when you say rose, it is the red color. Normally, we associate or relate this rose with the flower which is red in color. So the mind gives birth, or mind conceives a concept that this R-O-S-E, rose, that you read, that you listen, it opens up your mind in which different concepts are stored and it relates to that. Now you tell me, R-O-S-E, rose, and the actual rose flower, do they bear any relationship? No. That's why they are called arbitrary. So language is undoubtedly arbitrary, and there is no inherent connection between the nature of things or concepts the language deals with. However, by which those things and concepts are expressed. Another thing about this characteristic says the decision of a word, the decision that we do, the decision of word chose to mean a specific thing or thought. The decision of a word chose to mean a specific thing or thought is absolutely subjective. However, once a word is chosen for a specific referent, it comes to remain in that capacity. Let me make this statement very clear to you. What does it say? It says the decision of a word. For example, in English, if I decide or the people decide that D-O-G, dog, is to be used for that four-legged animal, it is quite subjective. It is me. English people have given the name dog. It is there. In Marathi, it is kutra. In Hindi, it is kutta. So the giving of this specific thing, name, It is absolutely subjective. And once a word is chosen for a specific referent, it comes to remain in that capacity. It might be noticed that had language not been arbitrary, there would have been just a single language on the planet. How many languages are there in the world? More than 5,600 languages are there that are spoken by the people in the world. So this is one of the characteristics by which we can say that had language not been arbitrary, there would have been only one language on this planet. To date, how many languages are there? There are more than 5,600 languages. Such variety of languages are being spoken. We have German, French, Japanese, Sanskrit, Hindi, Marathi, English, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Portuguese, Latin, Spanish, Norwegian, Canadian, African, all of these different languages that are spoken, they exist because language is arbitrary. In all these different languages, the same concept, the same object is given different name. In English, it is dog. In Marathi, it is kutra. In Hindi, it is kutta. In German, it is hound. In Spanish, it is something else. In Latin, it is something else. In Japanese, it is something else. And because language is arbitrary, we have different varieties of languages being spoken in the world. The next, that is, language is a social phenomenon. It is the most important characteristic of language. What does it say? That language is a social phenomenon. Language should be considered as a social phenomenon. With the birth of human life, language is born. Or I would say, with the birth of human life, the need was felt, the need of expression. And since the need of expression was felt by the early people living in the, now although remote areas, in the tribal villages or in tribal places, so they felt the need of expressing, and they started making use of the gestures, the facial expressions. But one of the things about human beings is that human beings are community oriented. They are social in nature. They cannot exist in isolation. You will find the human beings remaining in isolation. Nowadays, people talk about quarantine because we are suffering from this global pandemic. And the best answer to curb this global pandemic is to alienate, is to isolate yourself from the group. So language is considered as a social phenomenon. It is social that exists in our human society. It exists in our society. It is this language that defines us. It is this language that gives us our worth in life. It is this language that shapes our perceptions. It is this language that shapes our understanding. So, as a member, you can say that language is a social that exists in our human society. It is as a means of nourishing and developing culture and establishing human relation. What does it do? It establishes human relations. The way you talk, the way you speak the language reveals your bent of mind, reveals your character, reveals your persona, reveals your richness of your heart. So language is very important in the sense that it is social and it exists in our human society. It is as a means of nourishing and developing culture and establishing human relations. As a member of a particular social group, we human beings interact with each other which allow us to identify with one another, to connect with one another, to coordinate with one another. It is the most important thing. Just imagine, can you live without the language? Can you live without your mobile? Can you imagine to survive without the WhatsApp in the present times? Can we live without the Facebook? Can we live without the Instagram? Can we live without the Twitter handle? So all of these are means through which exchange of ideas take place in the form of a language. So as a member, as a member in the social group, we interact. For a variety of reasons, we come together. For rituals, we come together. For rites, we come together. For program's sake, we come together. For meeting's sake, we come together. For festival's sake, we come together. For mournings, we come together. For a variety of reasons, the human beings interact. They come together. They interact with each other. And this interaction that takes place through the language. And how it helps us? It helps us, or it allows us to identify ourselves with one another. If I want to know a person, I should be observing the person, the way he speaks. I'm reminded of the famous quote by Mahatma Gandhi. He was put a question that if somebody has to guess, or if somebody has to make a judgment about the character of a person, what he or she has to do. Mahatma Gandhi said in that context that if you want to judge the richness, the character of a person, just look at the way he speaks with the person below the rank to him or her. Normally we say we use the language. We do not use the language in the same way in same situation. We enter into different situations. We meet different people. And as we go on meeting people, accordingly we change or switch over our linguistic behavior. When you are home, you have different language. When you come out, you have a different, means you have a different way of speaking the language. It is through the language one can identify oneself with another. It is through the language we can connect with one another. We speak, hello, hi, hello, how are you, fine. So it is how we keep our existence going on in a meaningful manner. It also helps us to coordinate with one another. So this is what I just wanted to share with you. The time is falling short. So hardly just 30 seconds are left. So I'll be stopping here and we'll continue the same manner in the next class. Prior to that, I'll be giving you a message and just be there and submit your feedback. I hope you must have enjoyed the session. And we'll continue the same topic in the next class, talking about the different characteristics of language. We've seen the first characteristic being language is arbitrary. Today we learned that linguistic sign comprised of the signifier and the signified, and signifier and signified do not have any kind of logical relation. Means there is no any relation between the signifier and the signified. Signifier is the vehicle, whereas the signified is the concept or the image that we have in our mind or exists in the outside world. Second, we learned that language is a social